So you haven't done Tucker. You've not done Rogan.
I have not done Rogan.
Why haven't you done Rogan yet?
So Rogan actually knowingly is passing me up.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. So former quote unquote CIA spy, which I don't know if that's even a thing, sits down with PBD to cry and whine about Joe Rogan not wanting him on his show, which is very funny because then he goes into possible reasons why Joe Rogan wouldn't want him on his show. Joe has enough spook ties. He doesn't need a former quote-unquote agent to be on his show when he can just have Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Kash Patel, all the heads of the snake on the channel. This guy just wanting to sell his book doesn't realize how expendable he really is. Let's watch these clips and I'll give my thoughts on it afterwards.
You've pretty much done everybody. You've done Friedman, because that one did very well. You've done Diary of CEO. I think you've done Ryan.
Yep.
So you haven't done Tucker. You've not done Rogan.
I have not done Rogan.
Why haven't you done Rogan yet?
So Rogan actually knowingly is passing me up. Yeah. So I have a book coming out. I know we've talked about it off camera. I have a book coming up. My publisher actually reached out to the Joe Rogan show to make sure they were aware of me and my upcoming book. And their producer wrote back and said, Joe knows Andy. Joe's been tracking Andy, and Joe does not want to talk to Andy.
Very interesting.
I don't know why. I have a silly theory because when I interviewed with Lex, and I have tremendous respect for Lex Friedman. When I interviewed with Lex, it was before I really understood that during these interviews, there's a bit of a game that you play with the host, right? So I made Lex look bad on his own show. And a lot of the comments that came out afterwards, a lot of the reason that that show did so well is because people are commenting on what their opinions are for the ways that I made Lex look bad. And there are apparently a lot of people out there that liked Lex looking bad. And then when that started going to Twitter and that started going to Instagram, I actually got some messages from Lex saying, why would you encourage people to say such mean things?
He said that to you?
Yeah.
Lex said that to you?
Yeah. And I went back and I wasn't even tracking social media, right? So I went back into my social media feed and I saw where people were saying bad things, and I saw where I clicked the thumbs up on whatever they were saying, just because I was clicking, like to everything. And I actually wrote Lex back and I was like, hey man, I don't really know what I'm doing. I apologize for hurting your feelings. Let me go back and recant it. And there's actually on Twitter, you can see me going back and saying, hey, Lex was a great interviewer. If you think I looked good on this interview, it's only because he was asking good questions. And, but nevertheless, when I left Lex's studio, he and Joe Rogan are good friends. And he was like, Joe's just down the street. I bet Joe would love to have a conversation with you. And then just a few days later, everything went tits up on the internet and Lex stopped talking to me.
He's saying he did so good on Lex Friedman's podcast that just blackballed him throughout the whole podcasting circuit. So let me get this straight. You went on this man's podcast, and then afterwards, when it came out, people were shitting all over him, and you went on your Twitter and liked all of those comments? Why? And then your excuse was, my bad, I didn't know what I was doing, but you want to be taken serious as a former agent? So a CIA agent didn't know to not like any comments shitting on his previous interviewer, who's also trying to lock him in with a Joe Rogan interview while trying to sell a book. Did you retire, or did your bosses realize you're an idiot? It has to be one of the two.
So if
Well,
there's...
then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't see... Joe is very loyal to his friends. Very loyal. To his core friends, very loyal to him. So I'm not surprised. That's probably what could have happened, because he really likes Lex and they have a very good relationship together. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I actually think Joe would very much enjoy talking to you. But one thing I love about Joe said the following. The first time I went on Joe Rogan, Joe reached out. I didn't reach out. I'm like, hey, we had a conversation exchange. Like, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, sure. Boom. And then we went out there, and that's kind of how it happened. And then the second time around, he opened up his club. I wanted to go see his club. And then he said, hey, if you're down here, you want to do a podcast? Sure, let's do a podcast. And I gave him the few gifts, which, by the way, man, let me tell you, I don't know if you saw when I gave him the gifts, the comment section. They were not, I will never, ever give anybody a gift after my, if you go back and look at my history of me having, like when I had Kobe Bryant, I give him a gift. He was trying to be a producer. I gave him a signed copy of all the Star Wars people signing there. When I had Mark Cuban on 10 or 11 years ago, I gave him a gift. I know he's an Atlas Shrugged guy. I gave him original, first print, first cover, everything. Like, you can't find that. It's a very tough book to find. He didn't have one. He was thankful. We're always giving gifts from the Middle Eastern side. Sean Ryan gives gifts as well, I think. But I'm like, yeah, next time if I got a gift for Joe, someone, can you turn off the camera, man? I'm going to give it to you afterwards. But yeah, I mean, look, hopefully that'll happen eventually. Fed, you hear stories with Fed. Even, by the way, some people even say Lex. It's like Lex, that's, everybody has a criticism that they get, That guy we take money from Mossad. I've never taken money 100% financed by my own company. I sold my insurance company, and now everything I'm doing here pretty much financed by us, but everybody has their own criticism. Tucker took money from Qatar. Those guys took money from Mossad. Ben Shapiro got this person got this. What do you know about the back and forth with Peter Thiel's story came out 2023. He's a Fed. Did you read that story or no?
I didn't read the story. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And Peter Thiel has been a topic for a long time, a federal debate for a long time. Yeah. And, what I know about Peter's company and where it intersects government, I'm pretty sure is still classified, so I can't talk about it. But I can see why people would accuse him of being tied up with.
I'm assuming you're talking about Palantir.
Again, and I don't know how much is public or not public. So you said it, not me. But that's pretty much where I can and can't talk.
And this is why I say, quote unquote, former CIA agent, because he starts getting very squeamish when Palantir gets thrown around, because Palantir's whole existence is a CIA cutout. Their main customer is the CIA. Palantir is about data collection and surveillance. And they sell that surveillance to our government and to other governments, as we're going to see in a little bit. PBD tries to act like, I don't know, people be talking and somebody just has a theory, but he's going to lay out exactly why Peter Thiel is an evil force in his world.
Yeah, I had a guy, the recent theory that a guy said, and then I saw a video that the guy showed today on the podcast with Nick, that JD came out of nowhere, okay, JD Vance. He was a guy that came from Thiel, and then Elon went in with the Doge, and they got the intel that they needed, and Palantir now is getting a contract with the government, and this may be a direction for technocracy and all this other stuff. Does the CIA sit there and worry about technocracies? Does the CIA sit there and say, well, listen, the direction we may be going, and these guys are no longer billionaires. They're not worth 100. Now they're worth hundreds. They're soon, Elon's going to be a trillionaire in the next 12 to 36 months.
Yeah.
I think it'll be worth $1 trillion in the next 12 to 36 months. A trillionaire, you can buy countries. You can buy, it's a very different world when you make that kind of money. Is there the fear of a technocracy and some of these guys coming out and overtaking control?
Before we get the answer from someone who was sworn to protect the agency over everything, let's just get to the facts that Palantir was started in 2003, funded by the CIA's venture capitalist arm, and was its only customer for the first 5 years of its existence. And as you see here, according to a Forbes article in 2013, Palantir has, quote, become the go-to company for mining massive data for intelligence companies in the last 5 years. Quote, Palantir lives the realities of its customers, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, an early investor through its InQtel venture fund, along with an alphabet soup of other U.S. counterterrorism and military agencies. Forbes writes, quote, Palantir's advisors include Condoleezza Rice and former CIA director George Tenet. This is not something separate from the CIA that just grew up in somebody's basement. This is something that they built and created that was private so that they couldn't be FOIA requested. We can't just look into what's going on in there because they're a quote unquote private company. And I say quote unquote private company because they went public in 2020, as in now they're everybody's problem. They're a data harvesting company that's now only focused on quarterly profits. That doesn't do good for anybody. That's why there's such a push for digital IDs and online censorship that's happening right now with YouTube and everywhere else at the same time. It's not an accident.
Not at CIA, not widespread at CIA. Keep in mind, CIA's focus is almost exclusively foreign, right? If they're looking inside the United States, it's because a foreign threat has made it inside the United States. So they don't worry about that. But I will say that there's a very practical level in federal government where somebody else decides what technology you use. And whether you like it or not, whether it's good or bad technology, you're stuck with it because some acquisitions officer said, this is what we're buying. I spent a lot of time on Windows 98 when it was shitty, man.
That's a different story than what we got here. Rob, what is the one clip we had? I don't know if you've seen this one where this lady's on Stephen Colbert and she starts talking about, have you seen this thing?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is interesting. So she's sitting and all of a sudden, I think the conversation said, did you ever work with CIA for the movie and all this other stuff?
She did a show called Homeland on Showtime, I believe, Claire Danes, where it was about intelligence agencies tracking terrorists. And here's what she said.
So that they're saying he interrupted so quickly because the producer on the back end was like, yo, stop, she's giving too much information. Is that likely or now is it just...
So I can see why a producer would redirect her, for sure. I can also see how that may have just been he was excited. What year or what month was that, Rob?
I'd have to go back and check.
Because what she's saying is 100% accurate. We don't call it spy camp, but there are definitely moments where CIA officers who are no longer undercover will meet in restaurants around the DC area with actors, actresses, investors, market movers, anybody who can get the approval to sit with them. So
7.5
2018. So 2018 is 2 years after the Trump administration, and Trump was keeping CIA at a distance, if you recall back then. So she's telling the truth, and that is the kind of stuff that they talk about, and that's what happens at these camps. Silly enough, I actually am hosting my own spy camp for a major UK newspaper in my home in August, in late
Seriously?
August. Yeah, where I'll be doing the same thing. I'll run them through a mock surveillance operation. I'll run them through and teach them tradecraft and show them how to do things in the field so that they can be informed when they write their article.
That's wild, man. That is fully wild.
I'm sorry I buried the lead there because this guy pretends like I don't understand why Joe Rogan doesn't want me on his show. But also at the same time, I'm going to host my own spy camp. You don't see why Joe Rogan wouldn't want a guy running a spy camp on his show? Promoting what? You doing that means all of your public appearances are just lessons for your spy camp. Whether the host is in on it or not. Those are both lessons. How to talk to people who aren't in on it and how to talk to people who are not. This guy has to be one of the dumbest people that's ever called himself a CIA agent. Because why would he just say this? It makes no sense. If you have an idea, let me know in the comment section. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.